Alright, and hello there. My name is Jeff Logan, and I'm posting responses to your questions on enhancements to weapons and their magical qualities. I'm joined by my counterpart here, Rogue, who's sitting atop my shoulder as she likes to do. First things first is I'm not saying I disagree with your challenge rating and then taking the items, the draw system essentially. In fact, that's neat on itself if that works for the world that you're in. If you're going to do that, you need to also make sure that other things work in the same and similar fashion. Is that how scrolls are crafted? Is that how wands or rods or other wondrous items, do they also require the same arcane energy, or just +1 enhancements on weapons, or +2 or +3 or whatever? Anyways, how I would educate this is I would say your character, how they got their 5th level, they received their great magic arms and armor. What I would do is I would say, okay, to be able to bestow an enhancement on this, you must have the feat, or not, excuse me, not feat. You must have the spell, specifically Greater Magic Weapon. I believe that is a 3rd level spell, so if she's 5th level, she should be able to have this spell at this point in time. But anyway, it allows you to have a +1 bonus per 4 caster levels added onto a weapon that it claims is a masterwork. But seeking out your feat, going on your quest, however you obtained it, you've learned, you have studied, you have gotten this feat that allows you the ability to enchant and create weapons that very few people know how to do. And so this feat thus allows you to bestow onto this weapon this enhancement. And I believe that the Greater Magic Weapon is the perfect way to do that, because it kind of gives a little bit of a sense of balance and feeling to the characters in their creation of these weapons and magic and armor. You can also bestow other effects, such as adding acid damage or resistance or whatever, by choosing a certain spell that may or may not work. Say acid splash for existence. For instance, say that you would like to have a sword that does acid damage, as well as having a +1. So 5th level, you say, okay, I have my components for my acid spell, I have my components for my magic weapon greater, and then I have my masterwork weapon laid out in front of me. So you move into step 2, which would be I'm going to have the player roll a caster level check. So let's say she gets an average roll of 10, adds 5 to it because she's 5th level. This would thus allow a modifier, either positive or negative, to a D percentage roll that's rolled afterward. And you have made a chart. So say the chart is 1 to 10, that the weapon is imbued with a magical aura, but it has no real bonus besides the +1 itself from the masterwork. Or you could say 5, 10 to 50, it receives it's a damage, but it doesn't have the acid resistance, but it still gets its plus bonuses. And then 51 through 65, it receives both acid resistance and acid damage, and it's both modifiers. And then 67 through whatever 90, it just receives the damage and the enhancement bonus. And then there's always a little spot there that's based for off of DM discretion, where you can throw in your own little kinks there. But anyway, say if you were to roll up 75 in the D percentage roll, well, she rolled a 15 on her caster level check, so you can take away 15 points and bring it down to that range where she wants to be in. And what this does is this allows the characters, as they grow with their magical control, to really kind of feel it in all aspects. As I grow and get control, I have less magical flukes happening. I have less chance of having just a dead weapon, dead blue hue magic weapon as compared to what I really wanted it to be. And this goes into all aspects. If you're going to do armor, for instance, um, you could say that, have a different chart. Maybe 1 to 30, bestows just the enhancement, but none of the spell's magical qualities. And then, etc. adds the resistance to it. If you added acid, it has an acid resistance. Then maybe there's even a small section to where if you do exceedingly well, the armor itself bestows acidic qualities. Maybe it deteriorates the ground when you step, or when someone grapples you, it does an acid damage. And this kind of really, I believe, flows into the crafting of the wondrous items, where that's more of a recipe based. To get the craft wondrous items ability, you have to have certain spells and very specific formulas to make an item. You have to, make a fog of horn. You got to have a certain tusk and a certain item from a certain animal and a certain spell, and those crafted together with the right amount of XP and golden time allow you to make a wondrous item as compared to just a magical item. I hope that this helped you. It may or it may not have, but that is just how I would educate and do things. Before I go, that also allows differentials between, say, if a druid took craft magic items, or a paladin took, a cleric took craft magical items, and arms and armor. They have a different spell list, so you determine what, whereas a wizard may go out and find a sword that allows you to do fire damage, through add fireball to it, the sword becomes red hot and does fire damage. But a cleric may be able to possibly imbue his sword with like a holy aura, or something like that, to where it shines and creates a radius of light that has causes undead to cower, or whatever, something along those lines. And they have slightly different spell sets and abilities. The divine magic has a whole own list, and the divine magic also has enhanced weapon greater, magic weapon greater. So it allows a straight path, a tree, and branches to go out on either side. And I just stated that would be the best way to handle that. And perhaps you can even make it a quest. And if I understand where your realm is, your domain is, that they're on the last tip of civilization, and maybe perhaps there's only one person that knows how to teach this enhancement feat, although she's already taken it, I understand. Maybe to really truly learn how to control it, she needs to go seek this person out, and in that instance you can kind of explain, this is your growing, this is your lifelong study to attain the magical arts, which makes +5 weapons so expensive. It makes them, someone of this high level had to take the time to craft it. As for your loot, yeah, I'm totally with you on what's practical. If your group is using all bows and spears, and they're finding all these magical weapons, whatever, axes and such, that's just the name of the game. That's just what happens. You have to go by what they're using. That doesn't necessarily mean to say that there might be a possible way to, like crafting magical arms, or a way to, break it down. Maybe you can break down the weapon, thus, possibly, to its masterwork form, and allow you to imbue it with your own personal, whatever. You might be able to take an enhancement off, and then, maybe instead of using a spell slot for you, or using a spell, maybe you can take that enhancement and put it on a different weapon. So say you have a masterwork composite longbow, but you find An Axe of Frost. Well, maybe after a certain caster level or spellcraft check and the right feat or so, you can take that magical energy, that enhancement, and if you're a high enough caster level to control whoever put that enhancement on there, you can take that and then thus bestow it onto your bow or spear or quiver of arrows or whatever. I hope that helped out. That's a take two. But if you have any questions, let me know, and hope to hear from you soon.